Hello everybody, and welcome again to my channel. This time I want to review some things from the October 2017 Watchtower Study Edition. First, I'm going to start off talking about items from the the article Love in Deed and Truth. So this is an interesting article because it tries to explain to Jehovah's Witnesses how they should love in action. So they start off in paragraph 5. They say it means that our love must not be limited to words, especially when the circumstances call for action. But as we'll later discover, this does not apply to your own family members if they should break Watchtower rules. And they define for you what love is. In paragraph 5, they say, love for Jehovah and our neighbor moves us not only to ask God to send out workers into the harvest, but also to have a full share in the preaching work. So Jehovah's Witnesses are taught that love means that you have to preach the Watchtower's message to people. Interesting. Paragraph 6 makes an interesting point. It says, you cannot show genuine love while pretending to be something that we are not, as if we are wearing a mask. And this is a truly ironic statement from an organization that blatantly values image over substance. Anyways, moving on to paragraph 7. The bottom half, they say, apostates and others who create divisions in the congregation use smooth talk and flattering speech to make themselves appear to be loving, but their true motive is selfish. This is quite fascinating. So I looked up smooth talk on OxfordDictionaries.com, and OxfordDictionaries.com defined it as charming or flattering language, especially used to persuade someone to do something. So those who the Watchtower considers apostates, individuals that are making the truth about the Watchtower known, do they go out there and tell you how nice you are, how great you are, how you're one of the few chosen people on planet Earth, how you're part of the cleanest organization on Earth if you agree with the apostates? No, but there is an organization that tells you those things. They make you feel like you're better than everybody else if you're part of their organization. They make you feel like you have a special gift given to you directly by God. He has chosen you for this. Is that not smooth talk? How is the Watchtower not using smooth talk? Those who point out the truth of the Watchtower don't try to do so, telling you what a great person you are and all those other things. We just present facts for you to decide for yourself. So the ones using smooth talk here are none other than the printers of the Watchtower. I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself. I'm here to present facts for you to analyze for yourself and decide what to do. So paragraph 8 makes an interesting point. It says, hypocritical love is especially shameful because it is a counterfeit of the godly quality of self-sacrificing love. Such hypocrisy might fool men, but not Jehovah. Oh, how true that statement. Anyways, moving on to paragraph 9, genuine love moves us to find joy in serving our brothers without fanfare or recognition. So to the Watchtower, love is only demonstrated to those that are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they subtly make this point. So therefore, the only type of love you demonstrate to those who are not Jehovah's Witnesses is by preaching to them. And that is the way in the mind of the Watchtower that you put your love into action. If people are hungry, well, preach to them. Then they'll go get a job and they can feed themselves. Is that really love? I would say no. In paragraph 12, they drive this point home. They say, do I offer hospitality primarily to close friends, prominent ones, or those who might be able to return a favor? Now, this is a really ironic question in the Watchtower, because the Watchtower tells its members only to hang around and to associate with others who are Jehovah's Witnesses. So by definition, when Jehovah's Witnesses show hospitality, they're only showing it to close friends. So this is an extremely hypocritical question. But then they follow that question up with another hypocritical question. It says, or do I instead look for ways to be generous towards brothers and sisters whom I do not know well? So once again, love can only be demonstrated to those who are members of the Watchtower, to other Jehovah's Witnesses. This is right in the article. Paragraph 13 on page 10 talks about support those who are weak. But weak to them means somebody who's not engaging in enough congregation activities. This point is spelled out quite clearly in paragraph 13. It says, although many who are weak later become strong in the faith, others need our patient ongoing support. So weak is not about somebody who's sick. Weak is not about somebody that has a major problem that they're dealing with. Weak is about somebody that's not getting to enough meetings, or they're not going out in field service. And those are the people that you support. Never mind those who have cancer, who have massive family problems they're dealing with, or something else is out of control. They're not weak. If they're getting to all the meetings and they're on their deathbed, well, they're not weak. They're strong. So you don't have to support them. At least that's the idea that you would get from reading such a paragraph. So, paragraph 14 talks about making peace. It says, we do everything in our power to maintain peace with our brothers. Again, other Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't really care very much about people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses. You can treat them vastly different and still be considered to be loving. Is this true love? You decide for yourself. The following article, page 12, The Truth Brings Not Peace But a Sword. In this article, the Watchtower talks about how if you have unbelieving family members, they're persecuting you if they try to tell you that you believe something is false. However, they also tell you that when somebody decides that your beliefs are false, that person's also persecuting you. If a non-believing family member who has never been one of Jehovah's Witnesses gives you a hard time, well, that's persecution. But if a Jehovah's Witness decides to shun an individual who comes to realize that the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses are not true, well, it's the individual that's being shunned that is persecuting. How much more hypocritical could you possibly be? So anyways, paragraph 2 says, the greatest threat to our peace may come from unbelieving relatives. Some might ridicule our beliefs, accuse us of dividing the family, and threaten to disown us unless we give up our faith. Well, that's funny. So if you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses and you suddenly get a faith in another religion, you will be disowned unless you give up that faith. The Jehovah's Witnesses don't like it when the shoe's on the other foot. The religion is very narcissistic and very abusive towards individuals. So moving on, page 13 says in paragraph 6, even when our relatives oppose our efforts to worship Jehovah, we continue to love them. But this is not an entirely true statement. It goes on, it says, but we must remember that our love for God and Christ comes first. So if your family members are going to have a get-together, but it happens to fall on a meeting day, well, you're going to skip that get-together because Jehovah and Jesus come first, as the congregation describes it. Or if it comes in field service time, or during family study time, or during a convention, regional convention, or during assembly, you're going to put Jehovah first, and you're not going to hang out with your family because you love Jehovah more. So putting Jehovah's Witnesses, or putting the Watchtower first in all ways, is that really showing love to your family? Anyways, moving on. So paragraph 7, there's an interesting point. It says, your mate's present unwillingness to follow Christ is not in itself a valid reason for separation or divorce. Now, that at very best is an extremely dishonest statement. There could be individuals that are married to those who consider themselves to be true Christians and recognize the extreme falsehoods of the Watchtower. Those individuals may indeed be trying to follow Christ. However, to their Watchtower believing mate, they're not following Christ because they don't agree with the Watchtower. So that statement right there is extremely dishonest and extremely disingenuous. Paragraph 8 asks an interesting question. What if your spouse tries to limit your worship? Yes, because Jehovah's Witnesses never try to limit the worship of their unbelieving spouses. They never try to insist that their spouses don't put up holiday decorations, which may be sacred events to their spouses. So, in the Watchtower's viewpoint, whatever the witness does is right. Whatever their non-witness relative spouse do is wrong. That is an extremely sick and unhealthy viewpoint. That is extremely hypocritical. You cannot possibly have true love when you have such a hypocritical double standard. So paragraph 9 in the middle says a very interesting thing. It says, avoid saying negative things about your mate in front of your children. This is if you have an unbelieving mate and children. So It is absolutely impossible to follow that advice if you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses describe all those who are not Jehovah's Witnesses as being worldly. I have said several times that the term worldly, when used by Jehovah's Witnesses, is the exact same thing as a racial slur. It serves to put down every individual that term refers to. No matter what they're doing, they're considered to be bad people at the very best, even if they're trying to be good people. So therefore, if you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses and you want to avoid saying negative things about your mate in front of your children, you cannot refer to them as a worldly person. But that's okay, because the Watchtower will, and everybody else in the congregation will. So, moving on. In paragraph 10 says, at times unbelieving mates will demand that children share in pagan celebrations or be taught false religious beliefs. Well, you know, when you compare that to what Jehovah's Witnesses will demand of their children, that's really nothing. Jehovah's Witnesses will demand that their children die because of refusing a blood transfusion. Or, if they happen to get molested in the congregation, it's going to be very hard for that child to report that to the proper authorities with the mechanisms involved in the congregation. Currently, the elders will not discourage the parents from reporting, but they will not encourage it. And most parents know that this means that they don't want to drag the name of Jehovah through the mud, so they won't report it. The only way child abuse would be reported to the authorities in that situation, most likely, is either one, if the parent were awake and decided to do the right thing, or two, if the non-believing mate forced the issue. So in paragraph 10, the things that the non-believing mate does to the child are far more benign than what the Watchtower does to the child. So paragraph 12 raises an interesting point. It says, while many may be overjoyed about Bible truths we have learned, our relatives may mistakenly believe that we have been tricked or become part of a cult. Okay, so if that's the case, you should be able to logically reason with them why you're not in a cult when they bring out the myriads of evidence. However, if this happens, Jehovah's Witnesses will most often end the discussion. They'll say, well, let's agree to disagree, because there are things from which the Watchtower cannot be defended. So this is just another smokescreen that the Watchtower is using. Anyways, the article has a few more points. They get on to talk about when a family member is disfellowshipped or disassociates themselves. At this point, the encouragement is basically to shun them, to put Jehovah first, as it were. And in paragraph 19 says, despite our pain of heart, we must avoid normal contact with a disfellowshipped family member by telephone, text messages, letters, email, or social media. So it is perfectly okay for one of Jehovah's Witnesses to persecute those that leave their faith. However, when somebody leaves a different faith to become Jehovah's Witnesses, oh, well, they have to endure the persecution. Oh, it's so hard. And oh, they have to rely on Jehovah. This is such a hypocritical double standard that it is absolutely sickening. Anyways, there's plenty more in this Watchtower, but that's all I'm going to say about it. Thanks for watching.